Events are unfolding right now that could ignite a straightforward profit opportunity in the silver market. You see, one of America's neighbors could be poised to back its currency with a hard asset, in this case, silver. This could be a major turn of events that will have global implications. The actions look set to unfold in Mexico, where many of its most influential and wealthy citizens are demanding the country abandon its fiat currency, the peso, and return to the silver standard. The implications get bigger when you consider that Mexico has the world's 14th largest economy, the 10th largest by purchasing power parity. You see, a return to the silver standard could rapidly transform Mexico into the world's next big financial player. As you can no doubt imagine, making the peso a silver-backed currency means Mexico would create massive demand on the world's silver market. FutureMoneyTrends.com is forecasting a sudden outbreak of sane monetary policy around the world as soon as Mexico backs their currency with silver, or China, Russia, or another nation backs their currency with gold. For silver, besides the Mexico potential, there are other significant structural reasons why silver is today's top investment play, including demand stressors such as a smaller above-ground available supply than there is gold, new cutting-edge high-tech uses for silver, savers burned by huge food and energy price inflation now look set to flock to precious metals. Global supply shortages in silver have been present for 65 out of the last 68 years. But the real black swan play today is the potential for a new sudden Mexican monetary revolution, one that could send silver soaring in the hundreds of dollars per ounce. The leader of the silver standard movement is Mexico's multi-billionaire Hugo Salinas Price. At this very moment, according to Salinas Price, all of Mexico's congressmen favor monetizing silver. Of course, just as with the US, the trick will be how to get around the few politicians and party leaders who've been bought off or intimidated by the central bank. Because as soon as Mexico's silver hoarding makes news, as soon as the world understands this is serious, the price of silver will take off. Silver's moment is almost here, because as Hugo Salinas Price knows, his backers only need to convince a few more people to go along. The rest are already on board. Take just 3 or 4 men out of the anti-group, according to Salinas Price, and quote, "We could practically get a unanimous yes vote, practically unanimous in both houses," unquote. The shock wave would spiral outward from Mexico like a cannonball hitting a swimming pool, and the US would be the first to fill it. That's why you need to take seriously the headlines that scream, "Mexico may monetize silver this year." High-ups in our government have long feared a hard currency movement would carry the day somewhere. Knocking the dollar down appeals to the regimes that envy the US all over the world. Remember, the US had Muammar Gaddafi neutralized after he announced plans for an all-African currency that would be backed by gold. And the fact is, the real reason the US invented WMDs as the justification to kill Saddam Hussein was all about keeping our money safe. Hussein vowed to sell oil in anything except US dollars, a move that would have decimated the US dollar's position as a world reserve currency. In fact, not to get too far offline, global banking and high-tech computers means the dollar as the world reserve currency is fast becoming as archaic as an idea as black and white television. Soon your only refuge could be in the metal that is about to make Mexico very powerful. Now we know that many people are used to looking at Mexico as the violent, crooked, messed up country over the border, the one that sends all those illegals over here because even picking cantaloupes for giant US agribusinesses pays better than the job at home. It's now time to rethink all that, because a silver standard for Mexico would unleash the biggest global power shift since Spain raided the Aztecs 600 years ago. It's unavoidable. History repeats itself, especially when it's exactly the same economic situation. While they wait for Mexico to make it official, regular Americans have already started to take notice. They're voting yes to silver with their pocketbooks. The US Mint had to close down annual sales for Silver Eagles 3 weeks early last year. They ran out. And they still set a new record. Over 42 million Silver Eagle coins sold, the most ever. Just look where people are putting their money when they are desperate for safety. Since 2008, people have more than tripled the money they invest in silver ETFs. Buying a silver exchange-traded fund is the next most direct way to own silver outside of buying the metal itself. A silver shortage is crazy to imagine when you consider that silver output has more than doubled since the early 1990s in places like Mexico, Australia, and Peru. Then there's China, a relatively new major supplier of the metal. Its silver mining has jumped from less than 10 million ounces in 1991 to more than 100 million ounces today. However, China consumes all of their silver. Overall, the world's total silver mining production has increased from 400 million ounces in the early 1990s to about 800 million ounces today. But despite a sharp increase to supplies, the global demand for silver is far outpacing global production. Last year, the world consumed 1.1 billion ounces of silver. In fact, global silver production has been unable to meet global demand for the past 65 out of 68 years. The shortages have been made up by governments as they sell their stockpiles. However, according to the USGS, today the US government stockpiles are listed as none. That means shortages are about to become real. The deficits will grow faster should Mexico back its currency with silver. That's why the forecast is for rising demand to fuel an explosion in silver's price. It's a fundamental truth. When demand far outstrips supply, the price of silver must soar. To learn how you can receive a free ounce of silver and our special report on the top 10 silver investments, go to futuremoneytrends.com/silver. That's futuremoneytrends.com/silver.